All right, I decided to pull this one in the shop. There's just a few things on it I need to button up. Been meaning to get to, but there's just been too many other projects in the way. This one I started about July of last summer. Completely stripped it down, narrowed the chassis, because originally the chassis is supposed to be like 12 feet wide with wider tracks, but they just don't get around very well when they're wide like that on trails, so I narrowed it. Completely cut the chassis down. Fabricated a complete brand new blade for it because it was so beat up. It's a 6-way blade, so you see it's boxed and it's got a pin in the center, so it's got the 6th way. All fabbed, custom, heavy duty, won't bend this one. All 1/4 inch boxed. What I'm super excited about is I got the interior back. All these panels get screwed in like the original, and then I insulate it. I'm just working on getting the dash and defrost and all the panels put back in. It's actually turning out really freaking good. Super stoked on how it came out. There's panels that go around the windows once they get installed, and then up around the back windows, bezels, and then up on the edge here. This is all Raptor liner. I Raptor linered the whole thing, built ROPS for it. I could have painted it, but there's just so much body work on these things to make them look decent. So I just Raptor lined it. I gotta get these re-powder coated, or powder coated, I just have them spray painted, but they all come apart. They're all V-band clamped, but they come off, so they'll get re-powder coated. But here's all the window bezels, headliner, A-pillars and B-pillar mounts. All this stuff's all redone. This is the driver's side headliner. I did the brown, I just wanted to look, I don't know, it's just higher class than what it was. It was like light brown before. I thought about black, but I don't know, the brown is just looking killer. The dash was brown too, and that's all original gauges, original switches, which I thought was kind of cool to salvage. But yeah, so we're just kind of putting in the rest of these pieces. I did sound deadening on the inside and the outside of the engine bay. I got to cut and measure a couple new templates because there was a few that were missing, so I can get them wrapped. The only bezel that was missing was for this window, which is a shame because they're all fiberglass and they're all custom from Bombardier, which you'll never be able to get new ones. So I got to do something. This is the only part I don't have the pieces for. So I don't know if I'm going to build it out of wood and then have them wrapped so it kind of matches and covers up all the hydraulic hoses and the reservoirs. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. But as far as what I have left is just the windows and the interior pieces and weather stripping, which I did go to Auto Valley and figured out what weather stripping it needs. So I just got to order that. But otherwise, the blade needs to be blasted and painted too, but I was impatient. I want to know if it's going to work. So I put it together, which is just 3 pins in the hoses. I can pull it off and get it blasted and painted. I'll probably just have that done. I just don't feel like doing it. Probably do new hoses and fittings too. Like I said, I was impatient, wanted it together. Yeah, so these are the tracks I built for it. Originally it had like aluminum cleats, and I wanted something that was more all season, and aluminum ones were worn through anyways. And then I also wanted steel cleats, but the cost of steel SNOWCAT cleats will run a guy broke. Like, it is insane what they want for steel SNOWCAT cleats. I reached out to multiple companies on getting me new ones, and just for the cleats without belting was like 12 grand, which is absurd. There's no way I was gonna spend 12K on cleats. It was just way too much money. These cats, I mean, they're valuable, but they're not worth putting, $20,000 worth of tracks on or undercarriage, just to say. By the time you get all the tires, the new sprockets, the new hard rubbers on the front, and buying all the cleats and the labor, you have like easily 20 grand in the undercarriage of one of these things. And honestly, these cats aren't worth nothing unless they have a good undercarriage. So I came up with this idea. I got a ton of hate for it on some of the collector pages, if it was going to work or not. So I don't know if anyone will recognize what these cleats are built out of. They are DOT signpost. Okay, so I tow a lot. I've seen a lot of signposts get hit. And honestly, they're super strong. So I did some research. These are like 3 pounds per foot signposts. That's kind of how they rate them. And they are tempered. The signpost is tempered, like the original SNOWCAT cleats are tempered. So they don't bend. They'll break, but they won't bend. So I took some of the signposts, cut it to length. Then I had a couple steel cleats off my other Bombardier, and I compared them. I put a block of wood down and drove a pickup up on them at an angle to see if they'd break. And the original SNOWCAT cleats would bend and break before the signpost. So I'm like, well, there's no reason the signpost shouldn't work. Granted, it's not going to get as much traction because of the shape of them. It's more of like a excavator pad style now, which I'm not opposed to, because when you want to use these things in the summer with normal SNOWCAT cleats, they want to not steer very well in the dirt. They'll steer, but they tear it up really bad. So with this excavator style, quote unquote, kind of street pad, but I mean, still is going to get a lot of traction. These things turn really good in the driveway. So I'm pretty excited about that. And I went and dozed some dirt with it just in the driveway. Granted, these things are not made for dozing dirt, and I didn't cause no damage to any of the cleats. So I'm pretty stoked about that, although I did notice the rocks get caught in here. I have some crushed concrete in the driveway, but I mean, it crushed that in there and didn't bust it, so that's pretty good. Once I get the windows and the interior in this thing and it completely buttoned up, I'm gonna go take it out and do some testing with it. I mean, for all the signposts, it was like $1,600. So all I'm out is a bunch of time, but I'm not out a bunch of money for doing this track design. And what was really cool about them, the signpost is already pre-drilled, and they're pre-drilled at 1 inch spacing. So the pre-drilled belt rubber I had lined up with the holes perfectly. So no drilling, all I had to do is cut the length. And I was able to get 9-foot signposts, so I could cut them into equal lengths, so there was no extra. So between the belts and the signpost, you know, I'm in it for like maybe $3,000 for a set of tracks, which is like super cheap compared to any other option. So, and I think they look kind of cool. I mean, it's definitely a different look for a SNOWCAT, and like in the Midwest for an all-season SNOWCAT, I think it's gonna work great. It's turning out pretty good, so I gotta button up this interior and get the windows in it. The glass guy's kind of been dragging on it, so I need to get them in before I can really go out and abuse it, because I don't want to get sticks and mud in the interior, especially after being all brand new. I don't want to leave it outside. So yeah, it's pretty sweet. This is the defrost vent. I gotta put the vents in it. There's 2 fans under there for the defrost, and gotta button up some of the wiring. But yeah, it's coming along freaking sweet. Pretty stoked on how this one's turning out. But the sad part about it is I think I have it sold, so I can't fall in love with it too much. Because if I want to keep building stuff like this, you can't keep all these around. But for someone in the future, this is going to be a kick-ass SNOWCAT. So yeah, and it's just got a wood flat deck on the back, no winches, nothing like that. I didn't really care to build it for recovery work. I built it for the, you know, just the run-of-the-mill guy that has property that wants to do work on it. So it's got attached hydraulic ports in the back. I got to rebuild the hitch. It's been hacked 1,000 times, so I'm gonna clean all that up. This is the original one under here, and then someone added this, so I'll put a pintle back in it, and maybe like a square receiver above it, so they can pull a trailer or whatever. But yeah, it's quite the rig. Like I said, it's gonna be a sad day when it goes, but some stuff can't last forever, can't keep it forever. So, but yeah, it's coming along pretty good. We'll have an update video once I get it outside, and you can show some run videos of it. And like I said, I was pushing gravel with it in the driveway, and the tracks were doing just fine, literally like a bulldozer. So pretty stoked on that. We will keep it rolling and get this thing dialed in. Right now I'm working on getting this dialed in. I need to get the fans hooked up again, but these are the tabs that mount on the dash. I'm gonna take this piece of aluminum can put it like that across there so it's got some rigidity in the dash, because it's only 2 bolts that hold it on. I don't want it to rattle. And the coolant reservoir is underneath it, and along with some wiring stuff, so it's probably going to get pulled on and off every now and then. So I want it to be strong. And this dash cover is only fiberglass from 1974, so it's already busted on one side a little bit. So I'm gonna reinforce it with aluminum. So this aluminum piece will go across the front side, somewhat like that. And then on the back side, then I'll polish it so it looks better. So that's kind of what I'm gonna work on now. This is a very important part. Like, to have this piece of fiberglass for a bombardier from 1970 that's not busted or missing is very rare. So this piece is very important to keep in good shape. And then I also got to cut the vents into it on both sides. And then these are the vent pieces that need to be painted. So this will go on here, something like that, and then get polished. And then I'll take the leftover piece on the back side and sandwich it like this, so it's got some strength to it and some rigidity. Should be a pretty nice piece when it's done. This is what we're kind of going to do here. It's going to be a little polished strip of aluminum on the front side just to keep the rigidity up, because I would hate to see this break, taking it on and off. And then this piece will go in from the back side to pinch it, so it'll be nice and stout when you take the bolts out, and so it won't rattle and vibrate and crack apart. So it's kind of the plan. Just gonna hit it with this grinding wheel just to give it a little polish, I guess. I'm not gonna go crazy with it, but make it look a little bit better. So that's kind of what we're going for, is kind of eyeballing it with the mounting brackets to make sure it's gonna sit nice and flush and tight. But that's what we're going for. Okay, I got it in there how I wanted it. Look at that, just a beauty. Just gotta cut the vents in. I'm gonna paint them first, but what a clean fitment. I just can't wait to get this thing done. It's just gonna be so nice. And then we're gonna template for this so it's brown over the top, and then a brown boot that goes around the blade controller. And then I'll probably just clean this up a little bit. But wow, I can't believe how clean that's coming out. I mean, you gotta realize this is not a classic car. This is not something that would ever look this nice from factory. Like, it's a piece of equipment. But wow, did that turn out nice. Super stoked on it, super rigid. And then I also have a backup camera, and I think I'm gonna mount the backup camera off the front side of this, kind of twisted and cocked towards the driver. It just seems like a good place to put it because the windshields pretty much take up the whole front end. I don't want to hang it off the dash because the dash flips towards you and that'll run into the windshield. So, and I can't hook it to the lid because it's going to get in the way when you tip it up. So as much as I don't want to drill in the dash, I'm probably going to drill in the dash and just make it look really clean. So it'll be turned towards the driver, and then the backup camera will go, I'll be able to run the cords through the top, and I'll probably put it right between, right probably in that hole that already exists. And then the heat from the engine honestly keeps that all defrosted, so it should keep the camera clean as well. And then you'll be able to see out the back, which should be a pretty clean setup. We'll keep her going here and see what we can't figure out. Okay, I gotta dig this thing out of the snowbank and get the seats back in it. I want to get these new tracks tested out in the snow. There was a lot of controversy if they're going to work or not, so I gotta get this thing fired up in the garage, seats back in it, so I can go test these tracks out. And I want to test them out for myself anyways. Let's see if this unit will start. A little choke action. Get the gas pedal under the snow. Oh, there it is. There she is. Things always starts good. But yeah, lots of snow in here. We're gonna thaw it out in the garage. All right, got the SNOWCAT loaded up, the big yellow one. are back in it. Still no glass, but maybe next week the glass will get done. But I want to go give it some run in the snow before the snow is gone, and get a good test run on these tracks and everything that I've done to it, because I have basically had the thing completely down to pretty much nothing. No frame, no subframe, no tracks, no wheels, no sprockets, and I just want to make sure it's going to be solid for the new owner. So we're going to go put some time on it and see if we can't break it or find any issues or major leaks or stuff like that. So we're running down to some property and give her a good old shakedown. Wet snow. Oh no. So junk.
Yeah, that snow is nasty wet.
Oh yeah, tracks are super loose. Look how loose I got.
Yeah.
Stretching them out. Movement. See that old gear stick though? Right there. Yeah, spring came out of it. The spring inside of the gear stick came apart. Jeez Louise. Usually that drains, don't it? Does it work correctly?
Buddy, no windshield! No windshield!
Oh yeah, it's just your brush.
Yeah, cut and brush, but buddy, you ain't got a windshield.
I would say the tracks are a success. This is probably the packiest snow you're ever gonna ride in, and no issues at all. No derail, no nothing. Nothing cracked or loose. They're all super tight. We just took it down this ditch, super off camber, and it didn't do anything. Right down that whole edge, no big deal. So I think the tracks are a success. Like I said, this is about the crappiest snow you're ever gonna run in, and boy does it push. It pushes snow good, and it's heavy snow. So I'd say it's a good test. I think they're gonna work good.